Hi, everybody. I'm Bob Scott. I am the Director of Community Outreach for the Commonwealth Policy Center. And I just want to welcome you all to this very special edition of CPC Live. I am honored to have on today's program a dear friend who is also in the Kentucky State Legislature, Representative Ryan Dotson from the 73rd District. Welcome, Ryan.
It's good to be here, Bob. Thank you for having me today.
Yes, and man, oh man, I know you guys are just absolutely cooking right now. Obviously, the legislature is in session. This is the long session year for that, so, and there's just a lot of things going on, but a very, very, very important bill that you introduced or basically started with, I believe it was last summer, is in the process. It's rolling. It's the Save Women's Sports Act. It's right now House Bill 23. I know the Senate has a similar bill. It's Senate Bill 106 that's being introduced and brought forth. And I do want to mention this will, if it's passed, it'll become, depending on the pecking order, the 11th. Kentucky has potential to be the 11th state to do so. I know in South Dakota on February 3rd, just 8 days ago, they passed it there. To date, over 37 states have introduced legislation, with regard to the Save Women's Sports Act. Why is this important, Ryan? I know that obviously there's been a lot of discussion and that's happened with regard to it, but why do we even need this act?
Well, we're seeing across the nation, across the landscape of America, that this has become a prevalent issue. We're starting to see more and more young men who identify as female that are coming into female sports and actually just dominating. The physiological differences, Bob, are just off the charts. When that one of the arguments is, in some places and in some cases, they really state that taking testosterone suppressants for a year, or testosterone blockers, so to speak, that if you're on those things for a year, that you qualify to play in an all-girl sport. Well, that in itself is not enough. We're innately born with larger hearts, greater lung capacity. Our hemoglobin intake, which carries the oxygen throughout the body. These are scientific things that are physiologically present. We have greater bone mass, greater muscle mass, bone density. So those things they play a factor, and it gives males a distinct advantage in playing girls sports. And when you get to the high school level, these females are competing for scholarships and competing to make the team. Even if a transgender male or female comes into the sport and they're not actually winning state titles or excelling, they're still knocking a young lady out from being able to play on the team. So just the differences physiologically, this issue has to be dealt with. And I feel like this bill does, and it answers that problem.
Yeah, I mean, and you brought up a good point. We know that if you truly are going to follow the science and looking at it purely from a scientific standpoint, men are born with an XY chromosome, and females have the XX chromosome, and then that basically just takes in all the things that you were just talking about. Real life physiologically different aspects, that are actually being brought into play, and really creating an uneven playing field. And that, I know that you mentioned that hormone suppressants are being introduced without, honestly, I think a lot of long-term effect, or as to the effects that will have physiologically on the person that's taking those.
Right.
And I know your bill is designed to not only cover high school, but you're also looking at college athletes as well.
Yes. Just want to make a scientific note. Men average 60 to 100% greater arm strength, 25 to 60% greater leg strength, approximately 60% greater grip strength than women. And so in the sports of baseball, tennis, volleyball, men are able to throw, hit, kick the ball further, faster than women. And for example, men throw baseballs on an average of 81 miles per hour, and the average for a woman is 60 miles per hour. So there's a 35% difference. And even in tennis, males serve a tennis ball and hit a golf ball 15% faster than women, and male volleyball serves and spikes are an average of 29 to 34% faster than women. You know, even on a golf course, you see that men are placed in one spot for hitting the golf ball off the tee as compared to where the females are supposed to hit. There is distinct differences.
Yes.
And, you know, those advantages shouldn't play out. I mean, I don't think it's ironic, but I think it's kind of, you know, symbolic in some sort of way that we this year are celebrating 50 years of Title IX, in which women, this is the 50th year anniversary that women have fought to compete in sports. And now we're having to deal with this issue and try to make it right. And it's all about creating a level playing field for our ladies and protecting the integrity of female sports.
I'm so happy you brought that up, because that was something that was fought for and really earned, as you mentioned, almost 50 years ago.
Yes.
Again, to level the playing field, you know, and what this is doing, and we are seeing plenty of examples. I know most recently there's a swimmer at the University of Pennsylvania that identifies, has decided that he's female and is competing and doing very well in that. And then there's been plenty of other events. And that's the reason why we're now having to look at legislation, you know, that's happened. I know, just looking at my notes, there was someone by the name of Andrea Yearwood, who is a male that's quote unquote transitioning to female. Yearwood was a junior in high school and finished second in the 2017 Connecticut State track event. The first place finisher, Terry Miller, was also a transgender athlete who set a state girls indoor track record. You know?
Right.
So that backs up everything that you're saying, and I'm sure a lot of folks have seen that video, you know, of them competing, and you just the eye test. If you look at them, you could tell there is clearly a physical difference.
Bob, do you remember Florence Griffith Joyner? They call her.
Yes.
She set world record. She was a world beater in the Olympics, won numerous gold medals.
Yes. Dominated.
Oh yeah, she was decorated highly. Her resume is impeccable. But listen to this. Even at her peak, in 2017, 36 high school boys beat FloJo in her career.
Think about that.
Yeah, now how powerful is that? That high school boys.
Yeah.
And she trains diligently. This woman, I mean, she is a solid piece of muscle.
Yeah.
So even at the peak of female sports, it really you have high school boys that beat that record, you know, consistently. So, you know, the distinct physiological advantages are there, and that's what we're trying to bring to the forefront.
Yes.
You know, so and it's really, I think my constituents want it. People around the state want it because they want to protect our young ladies. They want to protect, because when you get into the high school, you're looking at scholarships.
Yes.
You're looking to get into the next level of play. And there's been many cases around the United States where that has been a problem. It's been a major issue.
Yeah, you know, as I get out around the state, and I do a lot of traveling around the state, different events that we do, speaking engagements that I have, I can tell you the event, basically the support for this particular bill is overwhelming.
Yes.
It's just a question of it. In fact, let's talk about the bill a little bit. Will you share with the folks that are watching, you know, just, you don't have to go through the whole thing, but just some of the important bullet points that the bill is going to actually entail.
Sure. Now, this is a KRS 156.070. And so it's relating to sports acts. So we went back and amended this KRS and section G, and this is how it reads. The state board or any agency designated by the state board to manage interscholastic athletes shall promulgate administrative regulations or bylaws that provide that a member school shall designate all athletic teams, activities, and sports as one of the following categories: boys, co-ed, or girls. Now, we don't have an issue with co-ed teams, and there are co-ed teams. There's sometimes maybe even open divisions, and that's fine. So this doesn't affect that.
That's important to note too, Ryan, because I know my son's school, they have a co-ed soccer team, mainly because it's just a small school, and that's the reason they do that.
Yeah, and there's no issue there. That should be able to take place, and so this doesn't interfere with that at all. And so on into this, there's a determination of the sex of a female when it comes to determining an all-girl sport, that the sex of a student for the purpose of determining eligibility to participate in an athletic activity or sport or use the athletic facility designated for the exclusive use of a single sex shall be determined by a student's biological sex as indicated on the student's original unedited birth certificate issued at the time of birth. Now, let me stop right there just a second, Bob, and explain something. Sometimes sex is not determined till after, because there's conflicts. There's an amendment because of parental reasons. A mother doesn't want to name a father, and so therefore there are times, and even in other states, there's not this determining at birth what a child's sex is. So we put in something that if the original birth certificate has been edited in any way, that they can have an affidavit signed and sworn by a physician, a physician's assistant, advanced practice, a registered nurse, or a chiropractor that conducted the annual medical examination required by paragraph E of this subscription. So you can have an original birth certificate, or you can have an altered birth certificate, but you still have to have an affidavit from a licensed physician, nurse practitioner, chiropractor, that sort of thing, from a medical health professional that would validate that. So we just want to make sure that nothing slips under the wire.
Yeah, no, amen. And that's just, as they say, covering all your bases, with regard to this. What is some of the other things I know that's being discussed, within the bill? If you could talk to that a little bit. I know there's been some discussion that a biologically born male has to use male designated locker room facilities, and the same thing, with a female, which has been traditional for many, many ages. But again, will that be included in this bill?
Well, it does designate that they have to use the facilities, as it said, participate in athletic, to determine eligibility to participate in athletic activity or sport, or to use an athletic facility designated for the exclusive use of a single sex shall be determined by, and it gives those lists. But what it states in there, you can't go to the locker room. A biological male can't dress and undress and be around young ladies who are dressing and undressing.
Yeah, and there's been some outcry on that, honestly.
Sure. I mean, I've got two daughters. It would really bother me.
Yes, I hear you.
And there's a lot of, around the nation, we've got reports and things that, there have been cases of rape.
No, yes.
There have been cases where things have came up, a young male wakes up and decides, well, I'm going to be a female today. And that happens.
Yes.
And all the while, there's something sinister at work there. So
yes. No, I was going to say
this is just protecting ladies, it's protecting the sport. It's an all around comprehensive bill that I feel, and it transitions from high school to college. That's another piece of this bill. It goes into collegiate. The one that's in the Senate, it does not cover college.
Okay.
So,
and as far as, obviously, that's one of the things, like any bill or piece of legislation, you're going to have the House working on their version. You're going to have the Senate working on their version. Then this is what I guess is commonly referred to as the sausage making. It
yeah,
happens.
and
Everybody
we
gets
come to conference and say, hey,
yes.
But we have worked diligently. I started this back in June of 2021,
Mhm.
and I wanted to get ahead of it because I really thought it was an issue that needed to be tackled. And I feel like our caucus is ready, the House is ready. There's an overwhelming support, swell of support for this bill. My colleagues, I mean, I think right now we have 48, 49 co-sponsors
Oh, wow.
on the bill. So you're looking at
Yeah.
almost half the House already.
Yes. Yes.
So we're at a good place with this bill. It's come at a good time. The timing maybe in the time past wasn't right. I feel like the timing is right now.
Yes. And it's not intended to be an attack on anybody. It's just,
No,
again, you know, trying to level the playing field, as we discussed. Again, especially for young people, both male and females, those are very formative years.
yes,
You talk about a locker room and getting undressed. I can remember even back as a kid that, I remember the first time you just kind of felt a little different.
right,
The first time that you were changing clothes,
yeah,
even with a bunch of guys, it was just something new,
yes,
and everybody's very concerned, especially at those ages, as formative years, very concerned about body image and that type of thing,
right.
and these are all things that need to be considered and absolutely have to be considered, with regard to this. So I applaud that you're doing that. Now, where are we right now? The bill. Is there anything that you want to talk more specifically, as far as specifics about the bill itself?
No, I mean, the bill is really, it's a very simple bill. It's very
Mhm.
comprehensive. It's simple. It's easy to read. There's nothing, tasking about the bill in itself. It just covers a broad spectrum, of things that really, when it comes to sports, women's sports, that it just really gives them great coverage.
Yes.
That they have that protection from us, that they
Okay.
can have and enjoy their sport and excel at their sport, without fear of being upstaged by, because we've seen, and it's very true, that young men before transitioning to female have been lackluster athletes, but have went to women's sports and have absolutely become stars.
Mhm.
They're just excelling, and with that comes a lot of pomp and circumstance. So it's actually inviting more to jump over and to
Yes.
participate.
Yes.
So and then at a later stage, Martina Navratilova said something, and she was a wonderful tennis player, and
Yes. Yes.
she made a very powerful statement, and her being a professional tennis player, she really came out against this back in 2000. I think it was 19. Yeah, she said this. Um, she said, "You can't just proclaim yourself a female and be able to compete against women," says Martina Navratilova,
Yes.
famed tennis player. She said, "To put the argument at its most basic, a man can decide to be a female, take hormones if required by whatever sporting organization is concerned, win everything in sight, and perhaps earn a small fortune, and then reverse the decision to go back to making babies if he so desires." And this was her quote, February the 17th of 2019.
Yes, and it needs to be pointed out too that she is also a lesbian activist.
Yes,
So we know a lot from the LGBT community is, for whatever reason, supporting this. But you also have folks that are on that side of the fence that are saying, no, this is not right. This
right.
is not
Yeah. I mean, you even have Caitlyn Jenner that's made public
correct.
statements.
Yes,
So
absolutely. And
who was formerly known as Bruce Jenner.
yes,
So those
yes,
people know, the distinct advantage.
yes. Very
So
good point.
yes.
Very good point. No, that's great. Now, wrapping this up a little bit, where are we now? It's been taken up in the education committee,
Yeah,
correct?
we're going to education committee on Tuesday morning at 8:30.
Okay, and then that's where explain to folks a little bit, just very briefly, that process, if you will.
We'll be going to committee with this bill to the education committee. Regina Huff is the chairwoman of that committee, and so many of our body, we have so many in the House that are teachers, and a lot of times, if you have a special uh, if you're a teacher, if you're a lawyer, you go to the judicial committee. If you're a teacher, you'll go to the education committee. So we have quite a few teachers in the House, and there'll be a lot of those education people. And we have people on our committee that is not only in education, but they coach sports.
Yes.
And so they know.
So these
But
are people
anyway,
that are dealing with children,
yes,
on a daily basis.
exactly. So we will go to committee, and I will have two witnesses or to testify for me and with me, and then I'm sure there will be opposing testimony.
Yeah.
So once we give our testimony, they give their opposing testimony. We will all be questioned by the panel of representatives, and then they will take a vote. And if we get the passing vote, then it will go to the House floor for a vote.
Okay.
So
Okay.
we need to pass that Tuesday. So we need everybody's prayers and everybody's covering. We do have quite a few people that are coming to the Capitol that day. It's going to be a big day. So
It most certainly is. I know myself and Executive Director Richard Nelson, we will be in the gallery there as well, supporting this effort. And
right,
with regard to support, for those of you listening in or watching, you can actually go to a phone number and actually reach out to your representative in the legislature by dialing 1-800-372-7181, 1-800-372-7181. I know we have that number in our notes section of this video as well. So believe me when I say it, and I know Representative Dotson will back me up on this, your phone calls make a difference.
yeah, and the emails too. They listen to constituents' emails. So if you reach out to your state representative, tell them you want them to support this bill.
Great. And Representative Dotson, as usual, brother, thank you so much for joining me today. Is there any final comments or thoughts that you have before we close out this?
I just want to thank the Commonwealth Policy Center for always standing with us on these hot button issues and standing for what is right. And this is a bill that really it brings peace of mind to a lot of people to know that this bill will potentially be passed in the state of Kentucky, and that women can be covered and are covered, and that our young ladies can compete without any apprehension. So,
Amen. And Representative Dotson, God bless you. Thank you for literally taking the lead on this. And you are in our thoughts and prayers. And folks at home, again, I just want to encourage you. You can make a difference. Call that number 1-800-372-7181, or as Representative Dotson just mentioned, please reach out through email. Make your voice heard, and you need to make your voice heard today. It needs to be heard loud and clear, because this important vote, critically important vote, the first one is happening this coming Tuesday, next Tuesday. So again, reach out, make a difference. We appreciate you for tuning in to this edition of CPC Live. I'm Bob Scott, along with my dear friend, Representative Ryan Dotson. Thank you for tuning in. We'll see you next time.
thank you, Bob.